If you're an artist like me, then you've gone through the same phase of having a lot of references that you saved from Pinterest but never actually getting down to drawing any of them. And for those who aren't artists, we basically look for motivation to draw on Pinterest, and that's why we save a lot of these pictures. And this one concept made me realize the reason as to why the motivation that we get of not just as artists but everyone else as well doesn't last very long. And so here's the concept of external motivation. Basically, external motivation is motivation that you get from the outside world. So things like seeing this guy doing the smoothest muscle up, or something small like walking past a stall and then you'd smell burgers cooking. Or for us artists, it's seeing that good reference on Pinterest. And so these things make you want to go towards their direction. So if you see that guy doing the smoothest pull-up, then you'd want to be like him. Or if you walk past that stall, then you'd want to buy burgers from it. Or for us artists, again, if we saw that Chef's Kiss reference, then we'd want to draw it. This type of motivation is where 90% of all of our motivations come from. Anything that comes from seeing, hearing, or smelling, or tasting are all external motivation. And to tell you the truth, it doesn't last very long because you don't always see the Chef's Kiss reference on Pinterest. And you don't always smell burgers. Like this day, you'd smell burgers and then you'd want burgers. But the next day, you'd see boba tea and then you'd want that. And so this inconsistency in the outside world makes you go through motivation video after motivation video, and then you say to yourself, oh, I lack the motivation to do anything. No, you lack the material that you get motivation from. The thing is, if you live your life trying to look or find motivation, then you'd go on an endless chase because no matter what you do, none of them will last. So, now that you understand motivation, here are some actionable things that you can do to get motivation that will actually last. So the first thing is to not focus on finding motivation. Like, don't let it be the thing that controls you. Like, let's say you want to work out. So now you're scrolling on social media because you have to find that motivational video, motivational music, and motivational quotes. Instead of relying on these external motivations, genuinely ask yourself, what do you want to work out for? Is it because of your physical appearance right now? Or is it because you want to change yourself? If your answer is something like, oh, I want to prove myself to these people, then that won't last because that's motivation that you're getting from an external thing. Like, what happens if these people die? Then your purpose dies with it, right? Because now you have no one to prove yourself to. And it doesn't work with proving it to yourself either, because what if you don't want to prove yourself anymore? The difference between having your own answer instead of looking for it in the outside world is that no matter what happens out there, it becomes very hard to change your reason because it's something that you work through in here instead of relying out there. Like, what's equal to genuinely wanting to improve yourself is something like your parents getting mad, because you can't really avoid that, right? And so would you rather try to please your parents, which by the way is completely up to them whether they're pleased or not, or would you be willing to go through some hardships because you genuinely want to see how far you can go? The next thing is to get rid of your external motivations, or just don't give in to it all the time because you can't really get rid of it. Let's say you're trapped in a room with a chair, a book, and a phone. You'll pick the phone more, right? Because it makes sense. It's the most stimulating thing right here at the moment. But let's say the phone's battery dies. So now you become more inclined to just read the book and spend time that way. So basically, when the phone got removed from the equation, we know that we can get ourselves to do something boring like reading a book without any kind of motivation at all. So how I do this is I go into my room and then I take the most stimulating thing on there. So that's my PC, my iPad, my phone. And then I limit the time as to where I'm allowed to use those technologies. And so I give myself an 8-hour window where I can use as much technology as I want. And you'd probably say, oh, he's just gonna watch YouTube videos for 8 hours a day, right? But no, I've got shit to do. I have to make YouTube videos, so that's 2 hours. I have to study as well, so add another hour to that. And so I also have podcasts that I want to learn from, so that's another hour or 2 hours on top of that. And then I also have some community that I'm trying to contribute in, so that's another hour. And so that's 6 hours of productive work and then 2 hours of just for recreational activities. I start at 9 a.m. and so that ends at 5 p.m. So just like the normal working class, basically. Then, before and after that time, I keep it strict and don't use any technology at all. Basically, during those times, I'm just reading a book or drawing or cleaning or basically just doing the things that I wanted to do or need to do, but couldn't because my phone was pulling me so much. So yeah, those are the 2 actionable things that you can do to find motivation that will actually last. So just to recap, first thing, don't focus on finding or looking for motivation on the outside world. Genuinely ask yourself, what do I want to do this for? Second thing, don't give in to your external motivations all the time. So basically, how I do this is I allow myself an 8-hour window where I can use the most stimulating thing in my room at the moment. And so yeah, I hope you find your motivation. I hope you find your answer. Work through it in here. Don't rely out there. And do me a favor, live.